Yo, we kicking it today, man. I'm doing a little podcast about the hustle story. I like this podcast because I really talk about stuff that's garnered towards me as a film director and a producer. The stuff that I have to do. For instance, today is a documentary day. We go out and we go to a hustle spot where we go out and the other guys that I go with, they and myself talk to a whole bunch of people, and we actually document our conversation with them, and we film. But excuse me, making sales and doing that stuff like that. And it's just a part of like a documentary with these people because they've actually created a tourism location for themselves to sell and make money. Selling products. It's like so it's like a phenomenon. It's really never happened before for Black people, and so I think it's an interesting thing. And you've seen some of the videos or some of my latter videos of these people and what they do. But as a film director, I go out and I follow them and I kind of keep a close relationship with them, like being around them, sleeping with them, not necessarily pause, but in the same location with them and hanging around them and building a camaraderie so that they understand that as a director, I'm trying to be like them, if you will. So we're going to experience the same thing. So, and that makes it a unique relationship so that they can understand that I'm not here just to get gather footage from them and then leave. That I'm actually going down the path with them, and so it's immersing myself into their world, which is something new to me. It's obviously new. So anytime you do a documentary or something like that, you have to build a rapport with the people that you have to shoot. And there's a lot of times people they'll act different if they know a camera's coming out, or they'll act more over the top if they know it's a camera coming out. Hell, you see this all the time on the internet with Instagram and YouTubes and everybody. Everybody's doing something fancy or free. But with a documentary, you're not really paying people to be in it. So they're just being themselves. So that means you have to pick the right times to shoot it. You have to pick the right times to get them in their authentic self. And then a fact of the matter is that it's not a reality show. So in a reality show, you're filming it regardless of what's going on. You don't care. You're not really going to try to uh, necessarily not document their whole life, but in a documentary, it's slightly different. Some stuff you're just going to keep out because if it's not along the storyline that you're telling, even if you document it, it's not important, even if it's salacious. You know what I'm saying? It might even sell because of some scenario that the character in your documentary is dealing with, but it's not nothing that you want to put out because it's not nothing that's going to carry your story forward. Unless that person just say, hey, you know what, put that out there. So a lot of times people can shut your documentary down and they could come out and say, I don't want to be a part of it. I remember this guy named QD3, which is what's his name? Quincy Jones' son. His name is QD3. He was a rap. He was a documentarian and a film director, and he wanted to do a documentary on Lil Wayne. You can Google this stuff. And so as he was trying to do a documentary on Lil Wayne, Lil Wayne had to okay it, and Lil Wayne did okay it. He was okay with the documentary coming out just a few years back. So Lil Wayne was the top dude in the rap game at this time. I mean, you know how Lil Wayne character career has went. So this guy, QD3, which is Lil Wayne's, Quincy Jones' son, wanted to do a documentary. He went to Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne said, "Bet, do it." So he shot the documentary. And so at that time, Lil Wayne saw it. Maybe his mind changed or something went wrong or different in Lil Wayne's ideals. He saw the documentary. He told the guy not to put it out. He said, "I don't want this to come out." And the guy was like, "Wait, what the fuck you mean? I shot this. I put all this time into this. You got to put this out." And he was like, "No, don't put this out." Okay, bet. So the guy that he put it out anyway because he's Quincy Jones' son. He got his own power. He's in the industry as a film director. He don't really have to listen to nobody. He's his own boss. He paid to get the shit done. How he got the money to do it. So he put it out. But after that documentary came out, Lil Wayne went to his people, which is the fans, myself included, and was like, "Don't watch it. Don't watch this documentary. When it come out, don't see it. It ain't interesting. Whatever this dude did, he went against what I wanted to do." So Lil Wayne fans, myself included, was not interested in seeing that documentary, even though I'm a filmmaker and I wanted to see it. But it's like I'm more of a fan for this guy and this Lil Wayne active person. And it's like, why the hell would I want to watch this guy's project if he's going against what the subject is saying? Because that means is he lying about this? Is it just some shit that he's putting out in his own mindset and it's not real? So these things it can come into play. So you want to make sure that your subject with somebody who's comfortable with you, unless you're doing something where they're not involved, and that can also happen. And it don't mean that that movie didn't make money or that him and Lil Wayne didn't patch things up, but it's just was a time frame where the character or the subject wasn't happy with the actual results of the doc. So, and that could happen in a lot of ways. They even had documentaries about this guy. What's his name? Russell Simmons. They was doing something on Lifetime about him, and the documentary was supposed to be about him doing sexual abuse against women. And obviously, that was against his ideals. The people they were talking to was trying to throw rocks at him, so he wasn't really down for that. But ultimately, uh, Oprah Winfrey got on board with producing this documentary. So he was like, "What the hell you doing? I thought we was friends. It was times when you was at my house, I was at your house, we was close." But Oprah Winfrey is a producer, and she's a businesswoman, so she was like, "This is a subject I want to get involved in it." So the rumor is, and I think he said this himself, that he called her and spoke to her. And so the idea is that he threatened her. Not saying he did. I'm just saying it's almost like he spoke to the producer and was like, "Hey, I don't want you to put this out. I don't think these people is telling the truth. Don't put this documentary out." And so Oprah stepped away from the documentary. So the people was like, "Well, Dad, did he threaten her? Did he say something negative to Oprah? Why would she stop her for doing it? She's supposed to be this producer that got her own mind." But she stepped away from that film. And so her stepping away from that film meant it didn't get done. It didn't have the same credibility that they were supposed to go with. So the producers of that film was like, "Oprah, what the fuck you doing? You're supposed to be down for women. What would you go against us and be down with this guy for if he was saying that he's a sexual abuser?" So that film didn't get done. And if it did get done, it wasn't pushed to the point where somebody like me would want to see it. So then that kind of went away. So it's times when you'll be want to produce something and a film of a person, and it can be a lot of controversy that come behind it. And sometimes for the film, that's important. That's actually marketing if it get out there. But when it comes with information that can actually take somebody down, take them out, stop them from making money, then as a producer or a creator or filmmaker, you might want to rethink your approach. You might want to rethink your subject, your lane that you're going in, because again, these stuff can take people careers down. There's a guy named Kamal Bell. He did a documentary. I'm not a fan of him. He's goofy to me. He did a documentary on Bill Cosby, and his documentary was documenting the fact that Bill Cosby was accused of sexual assault and this, that, and the third. But he hasn't done a documentary on none of the white men that was accused of such things, and it's many of them, and big time names, way bigger, richer people than Bill Cosby and all that. But he never did a documentary on none of that stuff. And it begs the question, why? Does he work for these people that's against Bill Cosby? Does he only do documentaries against black people? Like, what's his deal? You know what I'm saying? But so as a documentary film director, you are also somebody that's going to be looked at. Like, who are you? Like, what's your personality? What make you important? What make you intricately important to make this documentary? How do you have a stake in this? Are you just some person looking at it, gathering information? Are you really a content creator? Like, what's your objective to make a documentary on this particular thing? So if you're just doing it for money, or if you're just doing it to tear this person down, then that means you're just a clown anyway. So is it important for me? I probably wouldn't watch that film because I know you're just doing it for other reasons. You're not really tapped into the subject. You're not tapped into the people. You're just a goofy. So Kamal Bell could never be somebody who I'm interested in his work because I know he's only doing stuff for somebody that's in the masses or somebody that's paying him behind the scenes. Those are clowns. So I'm not interested in that art. You know what I mean? Ultimately, Bill Cosby was found out to be not guilty. Um, his civil rights was being violated. They violated his rights in the court. The prosecutor was violating his rights, and it was just all kind of shit that came down the pipeline on that documentary that guy made. But he made it from the vantage point that they were telling the truth. But then when everything come down the pipeline that they wasn't, and that they just railroaded this black man into prison, which is really foul in America in 2024. Now what's the documentary where you don't see the guy doing a cover up documentary or a backup documentary, or let me fix this conversation what I said at this part of the documentary. So these people are not really somebody who I would look at as art or artists that's making something intricate. They're doing something just before somebody's checkbook or to pay their rent. They most times, just like Kamal Bell, they married to a white person, so they got their own agenda, if you will. So that's not necessarily a documentary that I would want to see. You know what I mean? It's not gonna make money or it's not interesting, but I know that that guy's fake because the real truth is coming out, and that's what documentaries are supposed to out. They're supposed to document the reality of life, the truth. So if you're not gonna talk the truth or show the truth, then you're just doing propaganda. It's a place for that too. There's a place for that. That too. Propaganda is a part of the way media is also done. You know what I mean? The lady who did a documentary about The Germans, when they do the marches, the Germans be always marching and going crazy in their country. It looks like they got the biggest army in the world. And it's a documentary woman. She's German. She did a documentary, but it was like mocking it. She changed the sound and made it sound like a funny, gimmicky cartoon kind of characters when they was doing the marching and putting a Hitler sign up. So it allowed that to be seen of a comical, even though it wasn't. This is a real army and they fucking went across the world killing motherfuckers. But she took that same video, re-edited it through her own content and everything on top of it with the sound, and then turned it into a comedy. So this is what also documentary can do. It could change the messaging on the same video or the same footage. And a lot of times that's what YouTube is. A lot of times on YouTube, they don't want you to just put up other people's content. They want you to change it a little bit. So put your voice over it, or I don't know, change the footage or make it zoom in, zoom out, whatever you're doing to create something new is what they basically want you to do on those channels. So that's kind of like what she did to that video. So you can see that it not only was something that she invented and made a thing, but it's also a thing that actually is a thing and got platforms. They only work like that. You know what I'm saying? You have to take the content and create a new thing with the content. So that's what she did in that documentary back then. So it's just different ways to do your documentary. And when you get to that point where you're ready to shoot it, you'll figure it out. Because a lot of this stuff is just how it goes. Because a lot of times you're doing a documentary, you're making a documentary of people, but you want them to still use the normal attributes of their life. Like, and so what you'll do is whatever their thing is, like if they fix cars, or for instance, the guys who I'm around, they hustling. So you want them to do their thing in their element and then document that. You can also dramatize that particular thing. You can dramatize the location they're at. So it's different ways to pull that documentary from these people. Each person individually has a subject and a life, and you can take away or take a moment to cut into their lives and cut back. And that's called back to damn, it's a statement for back to the ranch. God, I'm gonna think of it. It's a statement for that, and then basically that means cut back to the main train. So say you got a choo-choo train going. Each stop is a part that you'll stop and talk about this particular person's life or that particular person's life or the beginning of how they got started, the nucleus of it. Each one of those elements are branches for the same tree or stops for the same train, and that all brings the documentary together. So when one thing gets boring, you can cut to the next point, or when that one thing kind of slows down, the information gets a little slow, you can cut to the next point and it's ramped up. Each person's character has a certain ebb and flow that allows you to cut back and forth to each one's character. So it's not just necessarily the filming of it, but also the pacing and editing of it is an element that's going to bring the documentary to life. So don't get discouraged. Don't feel like it's the end of it. Work at it. And it's going to be several different versions that you come up with because things are going to change. You might even change the subject matter. You might start one way or start one idea, and as you go on, it changes into another whole element. For instance, when we started this documentary here, we were in Chicago, and it was just us selling, and we were dealing with the police like it's just a normal black person's reality. That's the culture of blackness. You deal with being black, you deal with the police. So that's what I thought the documentary was. I mean, I filmed the hell out of that. It turned into now you got the immigrants coming in, and then police are not running them away from the same spot that we were at. So then now that element has changed into we're in a whole other state doing it in another element of the world. So it's changing from what I initially started out to a whole other thing. So I even believe that it's going to transfer into more stuff because uh, the music part of it, we haven't even talked about the music element of the documentary. That's another part of this thing that we can talk about. So it's processes in the process that you can ramp up in your documentary. So let this just be stuff that you can push and add to your documentary. And let me know what you're working on, if anything. And it doesn't matter how long or how short. Let's just chat about it. And I like kicking it with y'all. We're gonna talk about more stuff. I'm gonna try to document some of the stuff that we're doing on the behind the scenes side, so you can always stay abreast to the productions. And also we want to talk about distribution and getting the stuff out because nothing. It don't matter how much you shoot or how much time you put into filming. If you can't get this stuff out to the world, it's almost like a waste. So you want to make sure that you can get this stuff to the world. That's the ultimate goal is to get this stuff to the world. So that being said, I'm gonna jump off of here. I rock with y'all. You rock with me. This your boy Hood Films. Rocking. Holla.